Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Call. This is my YouTube channel, and I am continuing to work on this cover to my next volume of Age of Night. I don't have any idea how many streams we've worked on this now. A lot. I'm gonna go with a lot. This is probably the last one where I'm gonna work on this just because I'm getting tired of doing this on stream. And we've done this for many streams now, so we'll probably move on to going back to some comic pages starting next week. But this week, I'm going to see if I can finish getting down some of these base colors and start doing some local color. So what I've been doing, just to bring you up to speed, is that we spent a couple of streams just doing the drawing, and then we've now spent several streams, I'm not even sure how many, just establishing the values scale underneath where we will eventually have some local color using just primaries. So I used a dark blue and then a dark red and now a dark yellow, which is like a yellow ochre type color. It says raw sienna, I guess, according to this colored pencil set. And I'm almost done doing the dark yellow, and that will give us our nice established value scale, and then I can start doing some local color over top of that using that value scale that we've established to kind of pull everything together here. This is certainly not the only way to draw in color, but it is the way that I learned how to do it. So that's what I do, and it gives me good results. So that's why I keep doing it. Hey, someone saying, thanks so much for joining me. So I did start doing a little bit. Hey, Sid, thanks so much for jumping in. I did do a little bit of the dark yellow before the stream started, just on these two figures, just so we could get a little bit farther tonight. And now I still have just Wen, Kamaria, and Drake left to do in the dark yellow. And then we'll see about starting some local color. So how has everybody been? How has your week been? Anybody been up to anything interesting? Nothing much here, just another week of work, and someone saying mulched. Not quite time to start doing outdoor projects here, but we're getting there. I have like a bunch of seeds started, and I'm very much like, oh my gosh, I would love to start doing outdoor projects anytime now, but I also know that it is, in fact, still too early. And if I try to do anything outside right now, it will just lead to grief because everything is still mud and we're still gonna have some more nights of frost. We're not out of the woods yet on the situation, so we've had some very nice days, but it's still too early. I just have to keep reminding myself it's still too early. I have my little indoor seedlings. Just keep nurturing them. Just wait. Just wait. We'll get there. We finally have peepers peeping here, the little frogs. Always a good sign of spring. Got crocuses that have come up and bloomed. Daffodils are starting to form little buds. All right, that's all when, I think. My chicks are still in here with me. They've gotten a lot bigger. Here, I can probably grab one and show you. They're not too loud right now. I just fed them. So I think they're maybe settling down a little. Here, you're nice and big. Yes, you're fine. Oh my gosh, you're so loud. You're so loud. Here, you want to say hi to everybody? Boop. He's a chick. He's a chick. You can see they're getting actual feathers. Can you show them your little feathers? Yeah, see your little feathers? You're very loud. You're getting very big. You're probably like twice the size you were last week. Oh, look at those pretty feathers. Look at that. Look so pretty. There's some pretty feathers coming in. Oh my goodness. Chirp, chirp, chirp. There you go. Back with your buddies. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're a little bit wild. Yeah, now I got them all worked up. Yes, thankfully I have a wireless headset so I can walk all the way over to the chicken enclosure to grab one without having to take my microphone off. And then I have to sanitize my hands because gross. Because disgusting little bird germs. They're cute, but they are not sanitary. But yeah, they'll be inside for a little while yet. They need to be a good deal bigger before I can put them out in the main coop. And then it's like a whole process. You have to like slowly integrate them. They like I take one section of the chicken coop where all the adult chickens are living right now, and I kind of like cordon it off with a little bit of chicken wire so they're with the other chickens and they can see each other and they can smell each other and like get used to each other's presence, but they can't actually They are still physically separated. The chicks are in the little like chicken wired off corner so that the big chickens can't just like immediately beat the crap out of them because otherwise that is what they would do. And so it gives them a little while to kind of get used to each other. And we'll do that for like a couple of weeks and then take the chicken wire down, and then they all have to go through their whole pecking order establishment thing of like they do get a little bit picked on for a little while the chickens that are already there, like, we're in charge. We've already been here for a while. And they don't like really hurt them or anything. It's just anytime that they come around, they just kind of like peck them in the back of the head, like, get out of the way. No, I kept the danger end away from the paper. So because that would not be good. Not want to deal with that. How do you script your comics? Do you start with thumbnails and fill in the text to meet the concept, or start with a script? I always start with a script. Occasionally the script will go through a certain amount of revision as I'm drawing it. Sometimes I will not be entirely sure how I want something to look. I do have a pretty visual imagination, so I tend to be able to describe in my script more or less what I'm thinking the scene will look like, but sometimes things change once you get them onto the paper. But I do always start with a script, partially because I actually find the making the words go the more difficult part. So I like to just focus on getting the words the way that I want them to be on that stage. And then since I know what all of the words are going to be, then I can just do my thumbnails and figure out how to put the page together and get the visual storytelling to do what I want it to. And I don't have to worry about like, am I going to be able to make the words make sense? Because I find the whole like actually writing coherently and making dialogue that doesn't sound cheesy or stupid to me can be a challenge. So I like to spend a good amount of time just focusing on trying to do that. Not that the other stages of creating a comic are not challenging, but that one I feel like is not my strong point. So I have to really focus. All right. There's oh no, I didn't do her cape yet. I gotta do her cape. Her like cloak. This part of her cloak. I will say though that one thing is as far as the script and plotting out the thumbnails is that I do always make sure to include word balloon placement in the thumbnails, partially to make sure that I leave room for word balloons so that I don't end up with too terribly cramped word balloons, although that still does happen on occasion, and that's why sometimes I do have to rewrite stuff a little bit on the fly because it's just like, "Oh, well, that's not gonna fit. I did not leave enough room for all of those words. What is a more concise way I can say that?" But also because the placement of word balloons is an important factor in getting a flow and getting a flow on the page and making it easy to read and understand. You want to make sure that people can easily go from one word balloon to the next and have that help guide their eye around the page rather than it be a hindrance or something they're trying to fight against. Spud asks, do you have horror stories of spilling your brush water on a painting, drawing, or drinking it by accident? So I don't ever drink I haven't ever drinking my paint water. Hey, this is SP Tans. SP Tans Comics. Hey, thanks so much for joining me. I might be saying that wrong. If so, I'm sorry. I'm open to being corrected if there's a way to explain it to me that I might understand. So one of the things I do, I have a couple of techniques to keep from accidentally drinking paint water. One is my paint water is in a weird shaped jar. It's like I think this had like pimentos or something in it. I don't know, like olives maybe. But anyway, it's small and like tall and thin. It's an odd shape. And it's a jar. It's not a cup. And I don't drink from jars in general, which is a point of contention between me and my husband. If I'm drinking something, it's in an actual cup or mug or bottle. Yes, I know. You like to drink from old jars. I don't. And that's part of the reason why I don't drink from old jars. So I don't accidentally drink paint water. The other thing, my paint water is always on my right. Whenever possible for my workspace, I will have space both my right and my left. My paint water is always on my right and my drink is always on my left. So I can't accidentally just automatically reach for the wrong thing. I have, however, accidentally, of course, knocked ink, knocked water, knocked paint, that happens. It doesn't happen super often, also because my drawing surface where I have the actual piece that I'm working on, this is an angled drafting table. It's actually up at an angle, yeah, about like that, whatever that is. It's up at a pretty good angle to make it easier on myself. I'm not hunched over as much. And my ink and my water is actually not on this surface. It's actually on another little table off to the side, what you would call a taboret. Or in this case, it's an old bar cart that I turned into a taboret because old bar carts actually make really great taborets. They've got lots of little storage and it's pretty much just the right height to be right next to my drafting table without being on the same surface. And also it's a little bit below where my drawing is and also on a different angle. It's on a flat surface instead of an angled surface. So if it were to spill, it would make a mess on all of my art supplies over there. I would have a job cleaning it up, but it wouldn't get on this paper. So there's a few different techniques to try to avoid disaster. Stuff still happens, but that helps to minimize the amount of stuff happening that does happen. All right, almost done with our last little section of the yellow ochre. All right, so yay, it's a cat. All right, so we have now done the yellow ochre pass everywhere. So now we're going to do a little bit of local color. Who do I want to start with? Which character do I want to start with? We'll go ahead and start with Wen. That's not what I want. Is this the color that I want? What is this? Warm Earth 5%. Is this what I want? I can't tell. That's a little darker than I necessarily want. Maybe not that one. She's pretty pale. What is this? This is Burnt Ochre 10%. Okay. That's looking more like a extremely pasty lady flesh tone. Okay. So we're going to start with Wen. We're going to give her a little bit of a mid-tone. And I'm doing this very lightly all over because we do want to use what we've already built up as the base. And her hand down here. We don't want to forget about that. All right, so we've kind of got a mid-tone in there. We do need, she's going to need a little bit of pink. Oh my goodness, why are you guys so loud? What are you doing? All right, and now we need a little bit of more of her own color for like a mid and darker tones. Okay, that's a nice medium brown. All right. I do want to have a little bit of, so we're going to have like a little highlight from the moonlight. What is this? Silver gray? Is that what I want? That's not quite as blue as I want. Oh, Payne's gray. Perfect. Payne's gray's got a little bit of blue. Oh, but it's too dark. Okay. I know. I need something lighter. Light and blue. It's very light and blue. I have like a million colors and I can never find the color that I want. Light cobalt. That'll work. Okay. So we're going to give a little bit of a blue highlight from the moon. All right. And I need like a cool brown to finish up some of these darker. This is a 50% sepia. That's a pretty nice cool brown to do some of these darker shadows. Okay, do need to sharpen it though, because that is not enough of a sharp tip to get what I need to do in there. No, get off of there. All right, where did that other brown go? I feel like I forgot to do that on her hand down here. That was silly of me. Okay. And again, she looks kind of silly right now because she's not finished. So I'll have to come back and like pick a few things out and push stuff in more of a direction as I continue on, because she's just not going to be 100% done yet because we don't have the rest of the color all around her. Yeah, so someone asks, do you have a preferred colored pencil set? I think you mentioned it once, but I forget. So what I'm currently using, because I love them so much, are the Crandosh Luminance 6901. They're so good. They're so good. They are very expensive. These are very expensive colored pencils. I will not make any bones about that. But they are very nice. So I used Prismacolors for many, many years, and those were my favorite colored pencils because they are very nice, and I still have a whole like bunch of them here, and I do still use them sometimes because I do still have a bunch of them. They're very nice and creamy, and they blend really nicely. But there's a couple of little problems with Prismacolors. They are still also expensive, not quite as expensive as the Caran d'Aches, but still expensive. One of the issues with them is that the wood quality has gotten noticeably worse the last few years. So you can see it's kind of like shredding and tends to, a lot of times you'll get like splits and big chunks falling out when you are using them, like when you're sharpening them. Also the tips, like the actual pigment core tends to be a little bit more fragile. So you will very often be sharpening and the whole tip will just like fall out. So you will not get to use it, which is very frustrating when you're paying so much for each colored pencil. And so they're just not as durable as you would like, especially considering how expensive they are. Now, like I said, the Caran d'Ache is even more expensive than the Prismacolor, but the wood quality has so far been a lot better from everything I've noticed. The pigment quality, it is still extremely creamy and blendable and just gorgeous and nice to work with, but the pigment is a lot more durable. I have not had the issues of sharpening and having the tip fall off or the tip just break as you're using it. Right after I sharpen it, there'll be a little bit of like that super fine point that I just sharpened on there. That's not really going to hold with my particular heavy-handedness. If I were a little bit more delicate, it probably would. But yeah, in general, these are just performing a lot better, and I'm really, really enjoying using them. So that is what is currently my jam for colored pencils. You do not need to get the most giant, wonderful, expensive set. I happen to have it because a patron very graciously gifted it to me for Christmas. So that is why I have that. Because it was a little bit pricier than I probably would have gone for myself. You can absolutely make do with a much smaller set, and honestly, I will probably end up replacing like the colors that I use the most. Because like there's some of these colors, there's so many awesome colors in here, but some of them I'm just not going to use super often just because that's just how it goes. Um, so yeah, you can absolutely get a smaller set and be perfectly well served by it. All right, starting to build up some of her hair color here. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, this little like crumbs, little crumbs from my super sharpened pointer being annoying. That is why I have the brush to go foop, 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 and get out of here without them making a big mess. Do I ever read superhero comics? Not regularly. Like sometimes I'll go through and read like a trade paperback of something, but I don't like keep up with them. I bad comics person. I don't keep up with superhero comics. I do like to go back and read like collected trades of different superhero comics. But in general, I don't super keep up with it. I have like vague awareness of a bunch of different stuff that has happened in different superhero comics just on account of it's like, relevant to what I do. And I did have to learn a lot of that stuff in school too. Getting a little details on the heart of Nora on there. So what about you? Someone saying, are you a big superhero comics person or just certain superhero comics? Get the silver chain. Back in the day. Oh, hey, Hungry. Thanks so much for jumping in. Back in the day, you collected and read them regularly. Nowadays, my money mainly goes to keeping a roof overhead and food on the table. That's entirely fair. That's, I think, a big part of it too, was that I very frequently did not have the disposable income to try to keep up. And that's why I generally only read like a trade here and there because it's just like I can't. I was not in the habit of going into like having like holds or anything like that at a comic shop because it was just like, I don't know if I will have the money to do that this month. Think about getting a subscription to an online source. Yeah, yeah, that's also a lot more convenient now than it ever used to be. You can get the online subscriptions for a bunch of different publishers at this point. Okay, we have Lynn's gray under dress situation here. We'll get some of that color built up. There's just a tiny bit of it that we can see. That is like black. I don't want black. That's a little too much. Okay, and now the tricky part is her mage's robe is white. So we need to give it the depth of making it look like something while making it still look white. This is where it gets tricky. We want it to have some depth but still look white. So we've got like a bluish gray that we're using here right now. Her little like chemise is also white. And it might be one that I actually have to come back to in a little bit. Like once I get more of the area around her figured out so that I can kind of see. Like, because right now a lot of this paper and everything around her is still very white. This is all still much lighter than it's going to end up. And so it's hard to know how far to push something that's on the extreme end of the value scale. So we're going to give it a pass right now, but I am probably going to opt to come back and do a little bit more later. all of this back here is her mage's robes as well. All right, but hopefully you can see how her local color is starting to pop away from what's surrounding her. No, so these ones are not the watercolor pencils. These are just regular colored pencils. The water soluble ones are there. These guys, they're the Derwent ink tints. So they're from a different brand. They look a little bit different. And they do act a lot different too. Yeah. So you can see that there's a lot more building up that's going to happen overall. You can see kind of like her hair and her face is pretty close to like the level of buildup that we're going to end up with all over the place. Colored pencil takes a very long time. It takes a long time to build up all the layers to get it the way that I like it anyway. I know that there's plenty of different techniques, but to do it the way that I like to do it, it takes a while. It takes a lot of layers to get up to it. All right, we have like 10-ish minutes left, 10 minutes left. So what part do I want to work on next? We'll do a little bit of work on Fell while we get close to wrapping up here. Oh, geez, my box fell over. We'll give Fell a little bit of a pulse here. Give him a little bit of pink on his lip, a little bit of color in his cheeks. All right. Yeah, it helps to add a lot of depth to just keep building it up in layers. I like it a lot. It does take a long time. That's why I don't do a ton of colored pencil, like strictly colored pencil images, and do a lot of stuff where colored pencil is like an element of it, but not the whole thing. Like my usual mixed media color technique, but the very first Age of Night volume 1 cover was a colored pencil piece, and so to keep them consistent, that's what I have done for each of them as time went on. Is that like a smart thing to have done to myself? Probably not, but that's what we went with. All right, we've got that nice blue moonlight highlight. But then we're also going to have some flames over here. So he's going to have a little bit of an orange rimming highlight as well. Because what did I do with my pencil sharpener? There it is. Okay. Because that's cool. And I like to make life difficult for myself. Apparently. That's fun. Yay. Okay. No, I'm enjoying that. That looks good. All right, we've only got like 5-ish minutes left. So I will go ahead and do the YouTube things while I am working on some details here. And remind you all, I'm Amanda Call. This is my YouTube channel. I do these live art streams just about every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Very often you'll see me working on a comic page. The last couple of months at this point, I've been working on the cover to the 4th volume of my collected webcomic. And that is Age of Night. You can read all of Age of Night online for free at ageofnight.com. Those pages update just about every Wednesday. We're actually starting a new chapter this week, which is very exciting. While you can read the whole thing for free, there are also ways that you can help support me. As I said, this is going to be the cover of volume 4, which means volumes 1 through 3 have already been out for quite some time, and those are available for purchase on sites like Amazon and DriveThru. You can also support me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/ageofnight. Patrons always get their comics a week early, plus other little like behind the scenes previews and bonus comics and just all sorts of cool stuff for being awesome and supporting me. And I super appreciate it, of course. Helps me out quite a bit. What else do we have going on at this point? I will not be at MCTC, Main Comic and Toy Con. That is this coming weekend in Portland, Maine. Normally I would be at it, but I have a bunch of like personal life stuff coming up the following week, and I just can't. I was just like, I could try to go to this convention and then be a disaster. And I decided I did not want to do that, so I'm not going to. But plenty of my friends will be there. There's awesome people, awesome creators of all sorts of different types. Jesse Lundberg will be there. I think I don't remember if Crafton's going to be there, but I know Jesse's going to be there. I know that Ashley, she does crochet. I forget what her like business name is. But she does cute little crochet creatures. She's going to be there. My friend Jess LeClaire with Adventure Awaits is going to be there. There's going to be a bunch of fine folks. So if you're in the Portland, Maine area or a short drive away, definitely check it out and give them your money. I will still be a little while before I start my season this year, which is fine because I have plenty of stuff that I need to be working on. I don't need to be running around at conventions yet this year. I have lots of other stuff to do. But yes, if in fact you happen to be going to that one, because it is a main show, in most circumstances I would be going, but it just was not going to work for me this year because life. Because sometimes there is just too much life going on for these things to work. What else? Oh yeah, and you can find me on the various social medias to varying degrees of activity as either Amanda Call Art or Age of Night. All right, we're gonna very quickly add those highlights to his hair, and then that'll be it for the stream tonight. I already did a little bit of the flame highlight on his beard because it was just too much fun to not. And then we need the moonlight. Oh, yeah. I like how that's coming out. That's coming out good. I like that. Look at that. I like that a lot. That's looking really good. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this evening. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I will see you all next time. Bye.